Hello my loves, welcome back to my channel. Today I am reviewing some Florasis makeup. So Florasis recently reached out to me and asked if I would like to receive a PR package to try out some of their stuff, and I jumped at the chance. Florasis is a brand that I've been seeing on social media for quite a while now, and they make absolutely gorgeous and ornate makeup items. This stuff is just next level gorgeous. Look at this. What is this packaging? Like, it's insane. What is this ornate? Let's jump into it. So I was sent the Color Obsession set, which is, I believe, one of their like holiday gift sets. This is currently retailing for $189 US. So it comes with a really beautiful cosmetics or jewelry box, which has a bunch of different compartments and drawers. It is absolutely gorgeous. There is a floral engraving Phoenix makeup palette. You do get to choose your own color story. This one, they chose it for me. It is the gold brown, and they made the perfect choice. And I think we all know why. If you don't know why, it's because I absolutely love red eyeshadow. You also get a Blooming Rouge Love Lock lipstick. It's a matte lipstick. Again, you do get to choose your shade. There's also the Eastern Beasts Sculpting Makeup Palette. This comes in one shade. You get a Flawless Jade Breathable Setting Powder, and again, you get to choose your shade with this one. You get a travel brush set, which includes 5 brushes and a beautiful little pouch to keep them in. And you also get some of their new makeup removing wipes. So let's jump in. I want to start with the face powder. The powder comes in 6 shades and it has very beautiful packaging. So you can see it's quite ornate. To open it, you can see there's a little button here. Ignore that. You actually twist the packaging to unlock it, and then you open it up. Inside you get a powder puff, and the powder is underneath. So this is the shade 3 Mist, which is a matte translucent powder. So this is a cushion style powder. You have a loose, very finely milled setting powder underneath a little mesh protective seal, essentially. This guy is sewn in there really well, so it's not going to like pop off the edges, which is great. I've had that happen with puffs before. It's super annoying. If you are like me and you have dry skin, something to note is that this applies a super light amount of product, and just going in with what I've got on the sponge there would not 100% set down my quite dewy foundation, which I personally appreciate, because using matte powders on dry skin can lead to, you know, feeling a bit uncomfortable and dry throughout the day. So you have a lot of control with this. Another thing that I would mention, leading on from the fact that this specific sponge, or the mechanism of the powder and how it is deposited for application, since that applies a very thin layer of product, if you are using this powder all over your face and then you plan to go in with like a bronzer or something like that around your face, or a contour, you may want to pay a little bit more attention to places where you're going to place a powder product and you need it to blend easily, because this will still leave your skin a little bit tacky. So you have to be prepared for that when you are blending. So what I like to do is use the sponge as it is, how I showed you picking it up, to apply it under my eyes where I just want a tiny bit of setting, and then I go in a little bit heavier around the perimeter of my face where I'm going to use a bronzer. That gives me the best results, and I can very easily blend my powder products over my base, but I don't have that like super cakey dry effect under my eyes where I'm naturally a bit more dry anyway. It's a great powder, really nice. I've also applied it with a brush directly from the compact rather than using the sponge, and that technique totally works. You can either use the puff to apply it or you can use a brush. Let's move on to the Eastern Beasts Sculpting Makeup Palette. This packaging is absolutely gorgeous. On the top of the palette you have a vermilion bird, which is super ornate and encapsulated, so it's nice and protected. Inside you have 4 face powders, and that's where you really start to see the beautiful ornate makeup that Florasis creates. Each pan has a 3-dimensional animal design on it, and I just want to warn you that if you do go ahead and buy some Florasis makeup, when you open your eyeshadow palette or your face palette, or even like their highlighters have these sorts of designs on them, you are going to wonder to yourself how you will ever be able to use the makeup, because it is so beautiful and you will not want to ruin it. But it is designed to be used, so make sure you use it. The designs in this palette, will start with this one here, which is the Azure Dragon. This is a pink champagne highlighter, so you can see there it's a beautiful like shimmery highlighter. I am wearing it today and you will see it in the demos where I'm applying the makeup. It is a little bit shimmery. The blush is a vermilion bird, which is the same design that is on the top of the palette. This blush is gorgeous. I am wearing it. I find this color very, very flattering. It's a soft peach. It's not completely matte. It does have a tiny bit of radiance to it. The formula blends so beautifully on the skin. It doesn't go on all like chalky or heavy. It looks skin-like, it looks radiant, it's gorgeous. On this side we have the White Tiger. This is a matte highlight. I struggle to use matte highlights because I have drier skin and I have fine lines from aging. So I found this one to be a little bit better used on like the brow bone, where it's still like a fairly tight area of skin and doesn't have a lot of movement. And then the contour down here is a black tortoise. Now they call this a soft warm taupe contour. It is certainly a contour, and it is too cool toned for me to use as a bronzer. I did try and it didn't look quite right on me. Certainly a contour. I am actually wearing it today on my eyes along with the green eyeshadow from the eyeshadow palette, which we will get to. My favorite pans in this palette are the blush, followed by the highlighter, and then the contour shade as an eyeshadow. I think the most important thing to note with this face palette is that the formulas are really beautiful, very blendable, and also buildable. So you can apply a little bit to get that really beautiful, like no makeup or more subtle makeup appearance. And if you're trying to go a bit heavier, a little bit Instagram baddie, then you can certainly build it up to get a more intense effect. They do also say that you can use these wet, which I have absolutely no doubt of. I haven't done that because I do prefer a more like softer, a little bit more subtle or natural looking base product, like face colored products. The eyeshadows is where I would dig into them wet. So let's chat about the eyeshadows. So with this palette, it comes in 3 shade varieties. You've got Retro Brown, Gold Brown, and Soaring Sunlight. This one is Gold Brown. There are 9 shades in there. So I'm going to take you through them. I'm going to read the descriptions off the website. So this green shade here has a peacock design in it, and it is called a Dark Cyan Glitter. I am wearing this one on my eyes today as a very subtle liner. The next one is Canary, and this is a orange bronze satin. Next we have a warbler, and this is a matte medium beige. I am going to swatch that one again. Being a matte shade, it's not surprising that they don't swatch quite as intensely as the shimmery shades, but that shade is really gorgeous. The next bird featured in the palette is a thrush, and this is a rose gold satin. Jumping into my absolute favorite color ever for eyeshadows, we have the red shade. This is a Phoenix, and it's a matte red with a hint of gold shimmer. Gold glitter, they say, but I mean, it's subtle. Yes, it's in there, but it is so subtle and small that it doesn't look glittery. Next up, we have the egret. This is a pinkish white shimmer. Then we have a swan. This is a matte terracotta orange. We have the finch, which is a maroon bronze satin. That color is so nice. And finally, we have the swallow, which is a matte dark brown. When I first used this palette, my expectations were for the formula to be quite soft and have some translucency to it, simply based on my experience with some Korean and Japanese brands. And initially, when I started to apply the eyeshadows onto my eye for the very, very first time, like the second the brush hit my skin, I thought that that was what I was gonna get. But as I dipped back into the palette and continued to apply eyeshadow, I discovered something very important to know about these. These seem to have a protective layer that you have to break through to get to the true pigmentation of these eyeshadows. And the true pigmentation of these eyeshadows is actually quite similar to other Western brands. There is a lot of pigmentation here. Once you've dipped a brush into the pan a few times, you're going to pick up a lot more product, and that's what makes me think there might be like some sort of protective layer over these eyeshadows. Due to the 3D designs on all of these pans, I can only guess that the formula of these and the way that they're pressed is probably really important to like maintaining the structure and the integrity of those designs. Obviously, nobody likes to buy a palette that looks really fancy and has an ornate, beautiful design, and as soon as you dip your brush into it, it's completely destroyed. These have a lot of integrity. When you get a brush in there, you don't lose the design immediately. Yes, they soften up, obviously, because you're working product away from the design. But you can see, even though I've used every single eyeshadow in this palette, and keep in mind, I have been aiming for areas that aren't as three-dimensional to try and maintain some of that design. But while I was swatching these, I was swatching the whole pan. So you can see that they're not so easily destroyed. So having a layer that you need to seem to sort of break through to get to that really rich pigmentation, like the pigmentation that the eyeshadows can truly offer, that doesn't surprise me at all. Also, I do want to mention that you don't have to be like digging in there with a brush to break past this invisible layer, so to speak. It's just after a few taps in the brush that you will start to pick up more product naturally. You certainly don't have to like scrape away the three-dimensional design by any means. But also, if you've never tried this brand and you are considering buying it, I do want you to know that the very first time you start to apply any of the unused shades to your eyes, you are probably going to have a small amount of color payoff until you continue to dip back into the pan and reapply it. I also feel that some of these matte shades, especially when we get down to these darker ones, so these ones in particular, they almost have a creaminess to them. They're not a cream. I don't want you to get it confused. They're definitely a powder, but the way that they go onto the eye and like pick up on the brush, it is reminiscent of using like a matte cream eyeshadow. The formula just seems a little bit different to what I'm used to, and I like that. It's refreshing. The palette has a really nice array of eyeshadows. You've got some really pretty sparkly shimmery ones. You've got a typical satin or a couple of typical satins, and then you've got some really beautiful matte shades. I feel like all of the colors work together really well. And I am also, I'm gonna admit this, I'm super biased when it comes to this color story because it is borderline perfect for me. The only shade that I wouldn't reach for too often is the green, but I've used it as an eyeliner today. It offers a pop of color, it's sparkly, it's like, it works. It's just not one that I'm going to use all over my eyelid. I did apply it wet with an angled brush, and they do mention on their website that these eyeshadows can be used wet for more intensity. That is completely true, as it is with most eyeshadows. Applying this with a wet brush gave me a really beautiful like emerald green liner. I love it. As for some of the other like satin and shimmery shades, I have used them wet and dry. I think they both give beautiful results, but if you do want like intensity of color, then I would say the bronzy gold shade pretty much applies perfectly on its own. These two shades, applying the wet or over a sticky base, is going to give you a much more vibrant, bold effect, and if you apply them dry or over a normal eyeshadow base, it's going to be a soft, subtle wash of sparkly color. I didn't really know what to expect from this palette. I hadn't actually watched any reviews on this brand because I kind of had it in my head one day I would like to, you know, pick some things up and do a review, so I try not to watch other people's opinions because I don't want to be swayed by them. But I was a bit like, maybe the pigmentation wouldn't be that great, but it completely exceeded my expectations there. I really love the palette. I love the formula, the color story, the beautiful, beautiful designs. Yes, it broke my heart to stick a brush into it. Yeah, I love it. It's fantastic, and I would buy more of these palettes. They're really, really nice. Let's move on to the lipstick. So this is the Blooming Rouge Love Lock lipstick. It is gorgeous. It comes with, so this is all metal, beautiful, shiny, ornate, and it comes with a little tassel. It's stunning. The lipstick is very cool to open and nice and safe in there, which is great. So on one end you have what looks like a little keyhole, and on the other end you have the base of the lipstick. So you just push the end with the keyhole like so. The lipstick will pop out like that, but it doesn't fall out. You have to physically pull it out, which is great. So if you're out and about and it accidentally gets popped, it shouldn't just fall out on its own. Standard lipstick bullet, except it is beautiful, ornate. It has a three-dimensional design just like everything else. It is stunning. So the shade that I have here is Terracotta Romance. It is a matte lipstick. This has a matte formula that is like that silicone base, so it doesn't feel dry on the lips, and it doesn't tug, it doesn't pull, it goes on really smooth. You guys know I have really dry lips, so wearing matte lipsticks is quite uncomfortable for me. I have worn it just as a lipstick on its own, and I could wear it for a few hours without it being really uncomfortable, but I do apply it over a lip balm. I'm going to touch up, since I applied this over a lip balm, it doesn't last as long as it would if you applied it just as a normal lipstick, not over anything else. But that's all right. As long as you're mindful of that, then you can choose how to wear it, whether you use it as a matte lipstick on its own, or if you pair it with a lip balm, you just know to top it up. Keep an eye on it and top it up. It comes in 8 shades. There's nudes, berries, and reds, and it is just beautiful. I really love it. This is like already up there with some of the most special lipsticks that I have in my stash. I feel like ornate lipstick packaging like this is very rare in the beauty world. In fact, all of Florasis products offer something that not really many other brands offer, and that is, well, I don't know if any brands offer the ornate packaging and the ornate designs on their products. And the thing about Florasis is it's not just like one or two products, it's all of their products. All of their products feel luxury and super special. Even this little like travel brush set, and we see mini travel brush sets all over the place. So many brands do them. This one has two face brushes. You've got a powder and an angled like face brush, and then you have a little angled blending brush or eyeshadow brush. You've got a detail brush and then a standard eyeshadow brush. Now, to make it special, they have etched the ferrules of their brushes, but it also comes with a little like faux leather or synthetic leather pouch to keep them in, and it's beautifully designed. The brush hairs are so soft. They are a synthetic brush hair, so they are vegan, they're cruelty free, all that jazz if that's important to you. The ferrule is aluminium, like I said, it's etched, it has a really beautiful design on it. It's reminiscent of peacock feathers. The handle is wood with a beautiful matte finish, the signature Florasis green. All of the brushes are really functional, but it feels special and it feels really luxurious, and that is something that I think so many brands fall flat on these days. Everything that I've used from Florasis feels like it's too fancy for me, and it just feels so special. I also love that their prices are fairly reasonable. You know, their eyeshadow palettes sold individually, they're $59. The face palette, $49. The lipsticks are also $49, which is probably a bit more on the luxury end of things, but I mean, I think that's completely reasonable, especially for packaging that is as amazing as this. Like, who's doing this? If there is a brand doing this that's not Florasis, like, let me know, because this is, you just don't really see this sort of stuff, and it's special. This set did come with some makeup wipes. I'm going to be perfectly honest, I haven't tried them out yet, and I'm not going to try them out in this video. I'm saving them for travel. There's only 3 here. I never have makeup wipes. I don't buy them, but they are super handy when I'm traveling, and these are individually wrapped, so I'm going to be completely selfish on this one, and I am going to save them for the next time I travel. If you guys have tried anything from Florasis, please let me know what you tried and what your thoughts are down in the comments section. I'm curious what you guys think, but I know if people watch this video, they may want some more information as well and not just my opinion. I want to say a massive thank you to Florasis for sending me such a generous pack. It is available on their website now, and of course I will leave a link to their website in the description box. I also want to say a massive thank you to my channel members. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.